Hi, everyone. My name is David Hanson. For those I've flown with, it's great to see you all again. For those I haven't had the chance to fly with, I hope I get that opportunity soon. I have created a financial analysis independently done to understand current contract TA1 to TA2. To be very clear, this is independently done. It is not done by AFA nor my AFA rep, nor is this an association with United Airlines. I created this because I love financial literacy. For those who fly with me, I talk about a budget all the time. Understanding this information is a lot. It has taken me a couple years to really kind of gauge and understand this. So I hope you take a lot from this. It is a lot to go over, but we're going to try to break this down into bite-sized pieces. First thing to go over, we'll look at different things between the beginning of TA2 of where we're making a monthly and yearly income and the contrast at the end of it of when that contract is set to expire. Bottom pay, top out pay, and we'll go through each thing structurally. It is important to understand the different breakdowns that comes with this. We're going to understand the pay charts. We're going to understand a retroactive pay comparison based on a standardized figures. We're also going to go over break-even point. Does TA2 actually catch up to TA1 because we turned it down? There's that conversation of loss of wages. Does TA2 catch up? And then does it get ahead? We'll find out. As well, compensation add-ons. There is, when I tell you the amount of variables that comes within understanding flight attendant contracts and how the career is broken down, it's a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. Not everything is going to be added into this. However, you will see at the comparison add-ons, if you are an international purser, if you are a language speaker, I already broke those figures down for you. If you happen to fly that position, you can add it to the overall income to see the basis of that. Methodology and calculations, it's important to show the work, and then the final analysis and summary is how this is going to be broken down. This is important. Do not skip. It's going to take maybe a couple minutes of your time, but to understand the differences of pay and to understand how these figures came to be. I promise you it's worth it. How does each contract pay? And it's mainly standardized by this. Current contract is base pay plus the per diem ratio. Then TA1 was an offer of base pay per diem and a 50% of boarding pay. TA2 is the same thing as TA1, but key part, sit rig and sit pay. Now, we have broken this down into a model of 80, 100, and 120. I know for reserves, typically years 1 through 4 could be even, or done at a 78, which is what TA2 does offer. But simplicity, I kept it to 80 because people do like to pick up and fly. When it comes to this, you're going to see within the charts, we do get a pay raise if chosen yes on this. July, we'll get an automatic pay raise. And then August is the standardized anniversary. So we just kept it to August to keep it simplistic. Now, we have domestic rates going up with the per diem. We have a blended rate of domestic 85% flying, 15% international. When I tell you there is no perfect set in stone about this, this is just to create an understanding. Some of you fly international, some of you do turns. You're free to do whatever you want. So take in this information as a good basis and run the figures yourself. It's important that you understand this, and it's great for you. Boarding pay, again, is still going to be done with the structure of we have 3 different formulas of the A19 fleet, the smaller fleets, which are not our largest amount storage. We have the 737s, which is our biggest ones that we have overall in the industry. And then we have our wide body. So we went with the Airbuses as a standardized five hours worth of boarding pay, 737s 15 hours, and then the wide bodies 5 hours of boarding pay. So it is a standardized 25 hours worth of boarding pay based on those figures that's already put into it. Sit pay is a 1-to-2 ratio. 80 hours is based on 5 hours, 100, 6 hours, and then 120 hours is a 7.5 of a 1-to-2 ratio based on your seniority of pay. Now, folks, time to get into the pretty much the biggest part that everyone's been waiting to find out, which is what do the charts look like? And let me tell you, it took a long time to put this together. I'm very proud of it. And again, take it as information. Some fly more, some fly less. It's your information to use. You can make more and you can make less, but again, this is standardized. New hires. Let's get started here. You're going to see each one of the charts have a gray line through it. What that means is because pilots fly close to a maximum of about 100 hours allowed. So it's an industry comparison, if you will. I understand 80 is not the 78, but we're keeping simplicity, if you will. If you fly 80 hours for all 12 months, or 100 or 120 for all 12 of those months, this is what you will end up getting. Close to it, by the way. Current contract is $2,492. To TA1 is at $3,429. And then you have TA2, $3,731. And remember, we broke down how each one is paid within the structure. TA1 to 2, you get an additional $302 averaged out, if you will. Now, at the end of this, when you have your seniority increases and the date of signing anniversaries, the pay chart is read diagonally, not across. You end up making an income about $5,526. Let's go to the yearly, annual gross. Currently, new hires make around $29,904. To TA2, $44,772, excuse me. And we go to TA1 to 2, $3,624 increase. At the end of that, $66,312 as a new hire going to, I think it's around 4 years is the extension of TA2 contract. If you end up going from a new hire who is on reserve to a line holder and you pick up 120 hours a month, you're going to end up making close to 6 figures. Now, all these charts that are in here, you're going to see 2, 3, every seniority is broken down into. But let's go to the top out. So this is 13 years of seniority and higher. We're going to go off of 100 hours. Currently, it's about $7,064 with the current contract and how it's structured. We jump to TA2, goes about $10,413, and a TA1 to 2 increase about $1,000. Now, with top out pay, you don't get a seniority pay increase. You just get the date of signing on August anniversary increase, which you're looking around $11,886 monthly. But let's look at the yearly annualized gross. Currently, our top out pay goes to $84,768. We almost go now to $125,000. From TA1 to TA2, that is a $12,000 increase. At the end of it, I'm a high time flyer myself. I fly typically 120, almost looking close to $170,000 for yearly income. Again, can be more, can be less. One of the questions is wages lost. Now, retroactive pay is there to help compensate for that. But this is going to be a breakdown of the 10-month wait from TA1 to TA2. The algorithm is broke down as such. Now we fly the 100 flight hours per month. Had we signed TA1, the income would have been around $96,000. Because we voted that one down, current structure pay for current contract brings us to $71,000. That's a lost wage of around $24,500. Now, the TA1 to TA2 does have an increase with the retro amount of rate of return. With the standardized version of this, we're looking to help recoup around $13,000 from the retro 1 to 2. But it still does mean we're in the hole of $11,510. Now the question is, does TA2 actually break even on bringing that money back, or does it never do that? So let's answer the question, right? Standardized math right here. If we start this in June with how TA1 was signed and where that pay rate starts and to where TA2 starts, going head to head, you're going to see that the SIP pay plays a role into this. Right off the first year starting in June all the way to July in head-to-head comparison, TA2 has an advantage of $1,050 around. All the way up to where we go to the expiration of TA2 of the August 2030 year, you're going to see, because TA1 tops out a lower pay rate about $96 and change, to TA2 tops out the $100.13. Per year, you're going to make an extra $12,215. Let's even say the contract goes into negotiations for an extra 2 years, right? This one went into 5 years about. For those 2 years, you're making $12,215 more annually. Do we break even? We've lost $24,500 $13,000 recouped from a higher percentages of the ratio from retro pay of TA2, but we're still $11,500 in the hole. But we break even February 2028. You're looking at 20 months from June, 18 from August setup pay rate. After early 2028, you break even. Then post 2028, you have nothing but a net positive earned income compared to one to signing with TA2. That's the math portion of it from the standardized equation we saw earlier. 5-year advantage at $38,500, 7-year advantage, 2 years of waiting for an expired contract. You're looking at almost at a $63,000 positive rate of return. I understand people talk about investments. That is a whole different equation and conversation, but this is just a comparison from the 10-month wait of wages. Compensation add-ons. That goes for all of my galley kings and queens, purser. I typically fly purser. You have international purser or language qualified folks. And how this is broken down is, again, is the 100 hours to keep it simple. Averages out language qualified 50 hours out of 100, 70 for international, galley. Some fly more, some fly less. I have friends who do more of the night flying, so you can change that. But again, this is just a standard equation for simplification. You're going to see the pay rate changes. You have international purser goes from $7.50 to $10 and everything in between from there. Add-on pay. You have current contract, TA1/2 rates, monthly and yearly. Let's say you're an international purser and you fly 120 hours a month, every month, and you want to know, what does that add for my budget at the end of the year? Well, international purser, 120 hours, $10,000. Let's say I'm a speaker and I just want to know, if I fly from the ratio earlier given, what I could make flying 80 hours per month with the new contract, about 150. Remember, as references from those numbers above. Could be more, could be less, depending on what you fly. We also have other pay extensions. We have exclusion of holiday pay, white flag pay, but they aren't quite as consistent as the rest of these are. So they are still part of our pay when it comes to TA2, but just aren't added into the algorithm. Now, the methodology and calculations. Everything is structured and broken down here with how the progression goes down to the formulas, to our retro. Any questions, you can look through the chart. Happy to help answer with that. Final takeaway, folks. Got some highlights through here, and we've broken down a lot of information. Truth be told, though, the question isn't, was it worth it? The question is, how do I make this work for me? There are so many variables that we cannot control. It's important that we can control what we can. This isn't to guide you to say yes. This isn't to guide you to say no. It's to guide you to ask questions. This was a lot for me to put together, but I think this information is so powerful and so important. A written budget can change people's lives. I've walked through the furlough. I've walked through this industry my whole life. And there are ups and there are downs. But this information is powerful. And so I hope this creates and guides more conversation within our work group. I think financial literacy is a very powerful tool when it comes to a lot of things in our life. I really appreciate you taking time to watch this, and I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, please ask me. I love to learn more myself. And again, thank you for your time. Cheers.